And we are live. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour. I am Anthony Ihrig, one of your hosts. My co-host, Ellen Stanley, a.k.a. Mother Banjo, could not make it today. She really wishes that she could be here, but we're so excited. Today on the show, we have Ted Hajnasiewicz. Everybody give him a big back catalog round of applause. Oh, man, they are
Hi, folks.
really
So kind.
excited. They are
So
so
kind.
excited. Oh, look at this. We have Doyle, our friend Doyle. Been looking
Oh,
forward to this
hey.
one. Hey, Doyle, good to have you here. And Alan Hastings, happy Friday, Alan. Tim Goodwin, same. Connie Murray, hey, Connie, good to see you. Tuning in from Richfield. And our friend Joni, happy that we're all
Hey,
here
Joni.
live together. Also excited about that, Joni. Thanks for being here. And our friend Wiley, who couldn't make it. This is one of our Patreon supporters. Popped in just to leave this message that he's on the way to see Humbird in D.C., so couldn't make it. That's a great excuse, Wiley.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We really appreciate you just chiming in. Our good friend Chris Jetner is tuning in with his Uda Pills. Very good. Tasty brewery here in the Twin Cities. And this is a happy hour. So if you're enjoying a beverage out there or a snack, let us know what it is and where you're tuning in from, because this is a listening party. And a party means that we're doing it together, and we love hearing from you. I'm suffering from a little bit of a head cold, which is why my voice is a little off, and why I decided to go NA today. But you know, the NA beer options are getting really good. And here in my back catalog listening party pint glass, I have a hazy IPA from Athletic Brewing. It's really hitting the spot. Ted, are you enjoying any sort of beverages or snacks today?
I actually made myself. Apparently, this is called a dark and stormy. It's kind of like a Moscow Mule, but it's spiced rum instead of vodka.
Oh, very good.
So a dark and stormy. I had to Google it. Like, well, what would a Moscow Mule be without vodka? And it's called a dark and stormy.
Well,
So
it's pretty apropos for the weather we've been having here in the
yeah,
Twin Cities as of late. It's been quite a rainy last couple weeks, so very appropriate drink.
yeah.
And let's see, we got Brian here, just Ted, exclamation points. And
Hey.
yeah, and I love when people are, oh, Joni's saying perfect weather here. Very good. You know, it's always 70 and sunny here on the back catalog listening party because we're with our friends and we're listening to good music. And we're just really excited to have you on here today, Ted. A lot of people who have been watching this show for a while might have recognized you from past episodes, like Doyle Turner's episode,
Mhm.
209, I believe, from last month. But for those folks that aren't familiar with you, if you could give everybody just a brief bio, kind of how you got started
Sure.
in music, and then kind of what led up to the album we're going to listen to today.
Sure. So I started playing in bands when I was probably 15, and I was 15 in the 80s when MTV and hair bands were the thing, and everybody played really fast, and I couldn't. So I picked up bass because I thought that would be easy. It's not an easy instrument, but it was fun. I got a job all the time. I was playing through bands, and eventually got into a band where we were starting to emulate our Minnesota, local Minnesota bands like the Replacements and Soul Asylum and
Nice.
Husker Du and all of that kind of sound. We really kind of glommed onto that. In fact, the Brian who yelled Ted, he was the guitar player in that, but he's an amazing guitar player.
All
And
right.
so we did that for a few years, and then we all decided, I think, I don't know, at some point it's like, this isn't really the career we want to chase anymore, trying to be a rock star. So I bought a 4-track and did that for many, many years. Played in a couple bands, like jamming here and there. Had kids. They grew up, graduated, moved out of the house, and I decided maybe I should start playing out again and actually maybe write songs that would be that I'd be not ashamed to play out. So
And had
tried
you
to
been
figure
writing?
that.
So you hadn't been writing in those previous bands. It was kind of like after that, and you got your 4-track machine that you started writing in earnest.
Right. Super. I did write, but not a lot. We had another Brian in the band who was an amazing songwriter, and Bruno, the Brian on here, he was a great songwriter. I'm like, what do you need me for? So I didn't write a lot in that time. But once you're out by yourself, you could just create. And so it didn't matter if it was good or bad. I had fun, and I probably copied all my favorite artists when I wrote songs, and I kind of lay this thing of 25 years of writing songs. It helped lay the groundwork for the songwriter I became in time, I guess, or
Yeah.
am becoming maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent. And
um,
the oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, so playing out, I would just do this with myself and a guitar because I didn't know anybody in town anymore. You're that removed. I did not know anybody in this local scene, and I'm super shy, so I'm not going to walk up and say, "Hey Tony, nice to meet you. Can you want to do a show or you play on my record?"
Mm-hmm.
But then we all went through something in 2020 that uh, um, it kind of forced us to try to connect in some. We would do this. In fact, this is how the back catalog started, right? It was
You're
during
right.
COVID, right? and
Yeah, we
I
needed to
and I would
connect.
watch those things. Well, I was brave enough behind my keyboard to say, "Hey, so and so, would you write a song with? Do you want to write a song? Hey, Doyle, do you want to write a song? Hey, Sarah, would you sing on my record?
Hmm.
Ryan, do you want to produce it?" And so we did. We made this entire record remote. I don't think any one of us got together during any sessions. It was all either from their homes. Yeah, I think everybody from their studios in their homes, or even there's a gang vocal on one song where people just sent in their parts singing along. It didn't matter
Nice.
if it was perfect time, and yeah, that's kind of how this thing came about. And the songs were, I'm in the singer-songwriter challenge. You probably have heard that mentioned on here a few times.
We've had previous
That
guests
Facebook
have,
page.
yeah.
Yep. And so I
Yeah, it
met a
seems like
lot
it
of
was a
those
boom.
songwriters. Yeah, and we met a
So,
lot of. That's how I met Doyle. You know, we became
hmm.
friends because of the internet. So yeah, that's where we are
And so
today.
today we're listening to this 2021 release, Just for Show.
Yeah.
Was this your first release then, after you had been compiling all these songs, or had you put out records before this?
Yeah, I put a couple out before. I did a lot of recordings that aren't, uh, they're kind of marginally okay. I did a lot, home recording and doing what I can, playing all the instruments, which I can't, but you just try to fill it in. um, and then I started to slowly kind of like, I found a couple people in Nashville and a guy in the UK, and they would send me tracks, and then this record is the first one where I started to have like a bunch of musicians come in and play on it, um, that are local. Like, oh, maybe eventually we could play together, and like
Hmm.
started to become a reality over time. So
That's so
uh,
cool. So the
yeah.
pandemic, in a way, like allowed you to reach out to these folks,
Mhm.
and now bring that. Now you're playing music with them live, and all
Right.
that stuff. That's so cool.
Yeah, it gave me the nervous, awkward kid a little courage to be able to speak out, like to reach out to somebody. Because if you don't respond, I mean, I don't see your awkward look going, so yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think I can speak for everybody that it's Friday afternoon. It's been a long week. We're ready for some tunes, and we have the looks like the title track lined up here
Mhm.
for our first song today, Just for Show. Anything you want to say about it before we listen, or do you want to talk about it afterwards?
The one thing, a dear friend of mine, his dad, I don't. It's probably a poem. I have no idea where the eyes that speak for the soul, the bonnet on top is just for show. He said this to me as like a complimentary thing, and he was really talking about how he liked my heart, and
Hmm.
I'm like, I should write a song about that, but I have no idea if I stole those lines from a poem, so I might owe royalties. So somebody let me know if I who I need to pay.
Well, all artists are borrowing from other artists, and we're excited to showcase your art today here, Ted. This is Ted Hajnasiewicz, Just for Show, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
1, 2, 3, 4. He wasn't much to look at, but he had a heart of gold. He'd give the shirt off his back just to keep you from being cold. He didn't live perfect, but he tried to live right. He'd give up his pride just to end the fight. It's the eyes that speak for the soul. The bonnet on top is just for show, and it's okay if it starts to go, as long as we never let go of love. She never stopped working, there was always someone in need. glass of paint she felt every day so nobody would see. She didn't live perfect, but she was pretty damn close. Her love was like a magnet, she kept the family real close. It's the eyes that speak for the soul. The youthful beauty is just for show, and it's okay if it starts to go, as long as we never let go of love. It's the eyes that speak for the soul. The bonnet on top is just for show, and it's okay if it starts to go, as long as we never let go. It's the eyes that speak for the soul. The youthful beauty is just for show, and it's okay if it starts to go, as long as we never let go of love, of love, of love.
All right. That's Ted Hajnasiewicz with Just for Show here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. We are revisiting his 2021 release of the same name. And man, that was beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
I couldn't help but just admire all the different sounds that were kind of coming together to create that song, knowing that they were, being emailed back and forth back then.
Right.
I'd love to hear a little bit about who's on this track. The organ was
Sure.
beautiful. The vocals were great. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more who's playing on this.
Yeah, so the organ his name is Steve Peffer, and I have to not face my mic when he plays in the band Alabama. I wanted to tell you that. Yeah. I can't say that without doing the Forrest Gump. So he's a guy down in Nashville. I ran into him I was trying to be a studio engineer, a home studio engineer or whatever, and somebody who would give these online courses, he was offering up, hey, I'll take your tracks and like bring it into a studio with a band and get your backing tracks. And so I said, sure, I'll do a song and try it. And Peffer played the keys, and oh my gosh. So I just fell in love with what he did, to the point where I often would mix his tracks too loud, and because I love B3. I love B3. And he
Sounds
played
good,
all
yeah.
over the record, and he's fabulous. Toby Wilson, he's in the UK, and I think it's Sheffield. And he played the dobro on this song.
That was tasty.
Yeah, and I found him through Fiverr. Everything, keep in mind, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know how to get to know people. So I'm finding them on the internet in some capacity. And then Ryan Rood, he produced it. We had a mutual friend, and I think we had met before years ago, but it was through Facebook and during COVID that we started co-writing. And he plays the lap steel on this. And then Sarah Morris sang the Mariah Carey harmonies on this. She is a big Mariah fan. Yes, and if you listen to this, ooh, is because she was listening to Mariah at the time when she was tracking this song, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
There's Sarah.
So,
yeah. Oh man, it sounded good. I couldn't help too to hear the interplay with her Mariah Carey vocals and that organ. Like there was a couple points where I couldn't tell which one was which was super cool. Where if you're just listening to the program today, we're looking at a picture of Sarah, and it looks like Doyle and yourself back there. And then previously we had a shot of the producer. And how did you get hooked up with him?
So yeah, he's somebody we did meet he was doing sound at the Astor pre-COVID, and we met in person there. He and I have a dear mutual friend, who has been one of those people who would sell you gear for like almost nothing. Just that kind of guy. He'd buy things and then, here, you want this? And then when you buy an amp, he'd also give you a guitar with it and all this other pedals. And so we just had talked about her friend Derek and how wonderful he is, and we just kind of hit it off. And then during lockdown, he asked if people want to co-write, and so I was like, yes, I do. And so we wrote a song, and he goes, well, do you want to do something else? And he actually came up with this idea. We did you know who Jessa Roque was, she was battling cancer right in the middle of COVID. He's like, I'd like to do a fundraiser. So he helped we built this, we made a compilation album of people doing songs with all the money going toward it was tiny comparatively, but
Yeah.
helped pay some of her medical bills during that time. So yeah, Ryan's and he does the rabbit hole. You know, he's a mensch.
That's
He's
a
a
radio
sweet guy.
program, correct?
Yep, online radio thing. Him and his brother. You have to
Very
wear a
cool.
supper coat. Yeah, they have a dress code for
I
radio.
love it.
So yeah,
That's
yeah,
fantastic. Well, people were loving it as much as I. We had some claps from Doyle and Photo Dog One here giving you the claps, and Joni's chiming in to say how much she appreciates Sarah and her vocal stylings.
yeah.
And you know, when I was just scrolling through those images, there was one that stood out that kind of reminded me a little bit of the album cover.
Yeah.
It's a very cool looking photo. I love just the contrast. This is associated with a music video. Is that correct?
It is. It is. That's not how I look normally. I would like to, but that's a lot of work. Um,
I love it.
we Dave Dennison is a guy. He actually curates the shows for the Reader Homestead concerts out in Delano,
Hmm.
right? And he's just a sweet man. We became friends when I moved out. I live in Watertown, which is just south of there. And I got to know him, and we became good friends. And we would just get together and have a beer and or coffee or whatever. And he'd say over because he used to work for Care 11 or maybe it was Channel 9. I should know this. I'm really bad at that. Somebody fact check me. He
Hmm.
used to work for one of the TV channels, but then he went off and became a freelance artist, made videos for people, did all kinds of things. And he kept saying, Ted, I want to make a music video. And I'm like, why would you want to make a video for me? That's stupid. Eventually he said it again. He's like, but you need to tell your story. It needs to be. So that was why Just for Show, that song is about me and my wife, Phyllis. And I want her in the video, and I want it to be sweet but also ridiculous. So the whole Charlie Chaplin thing came about. It's like, maybe we do this like, you know, like the old silent films, and that's precisely what we did it on a frozen lake in the middle of COVID. Here's Dave. He was the one extra in there. We're
I
sitting
see
out there,
that.
and it's sweet. It's an incredibly wonderful video. It's a good time. And there's our
That's
friend
great.
Doyle.
There's
Yeah.
Doyle. Is this part of the video shoot too out there?
No, that's us in the back lot of Dusty's, just taking some pictures and laughing. And I always use that picture because I love how Doyle and I just look like we're having the most fun, and we don't really like each other, so it's fake. No, he's just, we can laugh like that for hours, and so when you see him laughing like that big laugh, oh, it's my favorite. Yeah.
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 Well, for folks who are interested in this video, we'll make sure to put it in a link to the show notes. But just it is pretty amazing, both what you're up to and what Dave was able to accomplish. So I just wanted to just tease people a little bit. You're not going to be able to hear the audio, but I just want you to see what's going on here. I love the silent movie thing. Well, this is good, perfect then, right? It's a silent movie; no one can see it. But just looking at the stills, you can get a sense of the theatrics of this video. And it looks like some quotes in there, and really sweet. So we will make sure to link to that in the show notes. BackCatalogListeningParty.com/215. And Doyle jumped in and said, Dusty's. I love it. This is a great, I really appreciate everybody who's out there chiming in the chat, because they're actually talking amongst themselves, sharing drink recipes and such things. And that's what this show is all about. So if you're new to the show, jump in the comments. If you have questions for Ted, if you want to know about songwriting, recording, anything you want, you let us know. We'll try to get to it before the end of the show. And I have a question about kind of a transition from
Sure.
kind of the, I guess the local rock of the Twin Cities, which also is near and dear to my heart. The Husker Du and the Replacements and Suburbs, and these were the bands I grew up on. But yet, I somehow fell into kind of folkier music, and I'm kind of curious how you went from rock and roll bass player to someone with dobro on their record.
Yeah, I think part of it was growing up. My parents listened to WDGY, which is the AM country radio station, and radio country at the time was, very, I mean, that's all our heroes now, right? Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Cash and Willie Nelson and Dolly and on and on. And so, but I kind of bucked against that. I just I'm not going to listen to that. And I think as I've aged, I've realized they had good music. And so that was one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then our songwriter friends in town, as I got to know people, it just seemed like a lot of people were more folky. And when you're sitting with your guitar alone, it's like that just seems to, I don't know if it just comes out more naturally to have these organic instruments instead of just trying to bash out with my amp and be loud.
Yeah. Well, Brian chimed in and said, I feel like it's an age thing and rechecking our parents. Yeah, for sure. We find our way to folk music, right?
For sure.
For me, though,
Exactly.
and I don't know if you feel the same way, but I always felt a real sense of community in the kind of local punk scene when I was a kid. And then when the kind of the 80s and 90s happened and then everything was high budget and polished, and I went searching for kind of community, and I found it in folk music and with other artists. And so it sounds like it might have been a similar path for you, too.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I was young, I don't know that I connected other than my close friends. I just had a hard time connecting. It probably was all in my head, but I'd always feel like I was the odd one out, right? But now I don't feel like, probably age helps.
Yeah.
And making connections with people that when I meet them in person, especially as horrible as having something like COVID-19 happen, that distance made us all want to connect with people, and it didn't matter who you were. So if you were the first person I saw, you're my best friend now. You know what I mean? And,
Totally. And real relationships happen online. And this album is a testament to it. Hearing all these people that you met online, sending their tracks. So let's hear that community again. We have another track lined up here called "Lovin' Easy." Anything you'd want to say about this before we give it a spin?
Yeah, this one was a remote co-write with Chris Holm. He's a blues guy in town, folk blues guy. He just seems like the guy he should have been from 100 years ago. That's how cool his sound is. And
nice.
we wrote a song together, and then he's like, let's do another one. We should write some kind of country love song thing. And Love and Easy came out of my mouth, and then we just started crafting the rest of the song, and then you get this kind of, my wife thinks it's a hit. I don't know what I think about that, but she
all right,
loves
folks. All right. Well, you let us know what you think in the comments while we give it a spin. This is Ted Hajnasiewicz with "Lovin' Easy" here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
The way you look back at me, you ain't so sure on leaving me. But I can't be the man you need. I'm only good for loving easy. The way you hang your head makes me think that you're ashamed of giving up on love, but you're not to blame. I'm only good for loving easy. Girl, I know the truth is hard, and I know it breaks your heart, but I'm only good for loving easy. I'm only good for loving easy. You should keep on walking, babe. I'm only good for loving easy. Girl, I know the truth is hard, and I know it breaks your heart, but go on and finish what you start. I'm only good for loving easy. I'm only good for loving easy. ain't had enough yet. But honey, I'm a losing bet. I'm only good for loving easy.
Oh, yeah. That's Ted Hajnasiewicz with Lovin' Easy here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Brian says, so good, buddy. And Connie Murray says, lovely song. I agree. That's a beautiful tune. And love that pedal steel. Same guy as the Dobro guy?
Yep. Yeah, Toby. I've never met him, and that's a goal. I'm going to go over to England and maybe try to do some shows with him, or at least just, get tea or something.
Oh, man, it sounded great. And overall, I mean, for a record that you're piecing together like you did, I mean, the production value is really, really good. Are you behind the mixing and the mastering and that kind of stuff, or are you also kind of working with others on that part of the production?
That would have been Ryan. So when you get into I love mixing a record. I like the creative part of it. Like, I want, what if you fade this up or do these kind of cool things or add this effect? But anything like make it sound good, I don't like doing that part. So Ryan did all the heavy lifting there. He did a great job.
Yeah,
but everybody came with
good.
Everybody came with nice, clean tracks, right? They did a really good job recording these things in their studios, or in Sarah's case, her parts are all in her big green bathroom. They're in that bathroom, and she'd never recorded at home ever, and so she learned on the fly, and she did a great job just getting a capture. Well, I mean, she's got a great voice. I mean, that helps a lot. But
natural reverb. They're gonna have to come out with a green bathroom plug-in for Pro Tools or something. It sounded really good. Yeah. And more folks chiming in here. Doyle just says that's just simply gorgeous. Gorgeous was also the adjective that Joni used. Very soulful. Another comment. People loving it. And if you love what you hear, folks, you could own this CD yourself. Ted has a website where you can go and pick up this and all the other stuff that he's doing. For some folks who maybe aren't 100% sure how to spell Hajnasiewicz, Ted has been very generous with his URL. It's tedtunes.com. I love this. That's a great way to help lodge it in people's minds. If you head on over to tedtunes.com, you'll be able to pick up this record and hear it in all of its glory. You still have CD copies available, Ted?
I do have this one, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. If everybody makes a CD, they usually have copies available. It seems like.
Yeah, these days, especially if it's recent. But it really does sound better. I get the advantage of listening to the WAV files, which sound so beautiful. And for those music aficionados out there that really want to hear all of the sounds, nothing getting clipped out or compressed out of it, you should head on over to tedtunes.com and pick yourself up a copy, or you could throw a little something in Ted's tip jar if you're enjoying this. He's got a PayPal, Ted Tunes, and his Venmo is Ted H Tunes. I'm sorry, it's Ted H Tunes. I'm mistaken. Sorry, folks, if you're just listening,
the H is silent.
Yes, Ted H Tunes. It seems like on all the platforms, including the website, and it goes a long way to show artists that you appreciate what they do. You throw a little something in the tip jar, and it ensures that they keep going and maybe put out some new stuff. And speaking of which, a little bird tells me that there might be some new stuff in the pipelines. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I'm in a band called Heba Jeba, which is another pronunciation of my last name. And we do more rock and roll, kind of like that 90s rock and roll with in the 80s guitar solos, and it's
all right.
Fun. And so we're gonna put this thing out in November. It's pretty much mixed, and we're working toward getting it mastered here, and then slowly start a promo cycle and put this thing out in November. Yeah, so
awesome.
November 19th. November 19th, we're doing a release show. So
mark your calendars. Is it a venue available yet, or just still waiting on that?
We haven't publicly announced it.
Okay, all right. Well, just know that November 19th is the date. Mark your calendars now. Head on over to tedhtunes.com, and you'll find that information. Do you have a mailing list people could hop on to get the latest news? Excellent. Once again, tedhtunes.com. And man, this is sounding so good. And Photodog1 says, does it come in an 8-track? Laugh out loud. Do you still have 8-track?
I have done that. Tony, I did an 8-track a few years ago. I did.
How do you get an 8-track produced?
I Googled it because I was just going to make an album, chop it up like 8-tracks are done, including, the one song between the third and fourth where it's right in the middle. Then I just Googled and you can get 8-tracks made. So I did do one. It wasn't very expensive, but nobody's buying that. So there you go.
Well, there's not much to play them on, although that might be the new hip thing, after cassettes and vinyl, 8-tracks maybe coming back. That's amazing. Yeah, my earliest memories of listening to music was on my parents' 8-track player, so dates me a little bit there. Sure. Well, I'm sure it sounds good on whatever format that you want to check it out. He also has stuff on Bandcamp if you're into just downloading the digital high-res files and things like that. But let's journey on, because I want to get to as much music as we can. In this hour is already going super fast. The next track that you have lined up is called "This Ring." Yeah. Anything you want to say about this one?
So I had a concept of the song, like I wanted a story song kind of along the lines of some Everly Brothers songs where they tell the story and there's a character talking to somebody. And so this person is somebody who proposed, was rejected, heartbroken, and he's going to bring the ring into a pawn shop. And I came up with the concept, wrote part of a first verse, and reached out to Doyle and said, "Hey, Doyle, I wonder if you could help me with this." And Doyle is a masterful lyric writer, and he came up with this beautiful story. So I think I can cast a vision, and people like Doyle can write a beautiful song. So this is a co-write. Before we met in person, we wrote the song together. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's give it a spin. This is Ted Hajnasiewicz with "This Ring" here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Sir, what can you give me for this piece of my heart? She's gone and left me sad and lonely, and it's time for a new start. I'm sure someone could use this now. It's no longer mine to give. This ring a symbol of devotion. It's not my life to live. To have and to hold, sunk deep in this gold, disowned and released, love's left this ring. Please take this ring second hand, it's no longer mine. A circle without promise, but gold past its shine. This blessed ring left her hand the night she left me exposed. And now her left hand's empty, our story untold. To have and to hold, sunk deep in this gold, disowned and released, love's left this ring. Empty kitchen table in a small sidetrack house, cleared off and empty except for this half an ounce. My heart's run away, let loose out of hand, and I can't bear the weight of this little gold band. Sir, what can you give me for this piece of my heart? She's gone and left me sad and lonely, and it's time for a new start. I'm sure someone could use this now. I like to move on and forget. This ring a symbol of devotion. It's no longer mine to give. This ring a symbol of devotion. It's not my life to live.
Beautiful. That's Ted Hajnasiewicz with this ring here on the back catalog listening party.
Doyle Turner. I think the one thing, if I could do it over, I would love to do this song with Doyle someday and have him sing the melody and I would do a harmony, because I just hear that Everly Brother harmony and I wish I would have put something on there. What do you do? Hindsight, right?
Yeah, right. Well, that's how the next record gets all the ideas, right? Well, it was gorgeous, and people were loving it. Alinda says, great song, and Brian gave it lots of good hand claps. And more people chiming in about 8-tracks. Doyle saying that he was listening to his parents' 8-track, and Tim says, my older brother's first car, a 68 Plymouth Fury, had an 8-track. I can still hear, damn the torpedoes. I love it. Yeah. Well, that was really a gorgeous tune, and it made me think while I was listening back. I know that you're doing co-writes and having Doyle, a wonderful lyricist, writing these words. What about the kind of the music side of the writing? Is that kind of where you're focusing? Do you write on a specific instrument? Can you just talk a little bit about your writing process?
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't know that I focus on any one part. I mean, generally, if I'm writing, I'll write a song end to end myself, or in a co-writing situation. I've never gotten into, there's people are like, you're the lyric person, and you're the melody, and you're the, arranger or whatever. I've never really, don't think I've ever found that niche. I just call out Doyle's. I mean, he can write it entire, but his lyrics just floor me, right? They just floor me. And so, but when I'm writing, I would do whatever. And I think even with Doyle and I, we tend to, like, whoever seems to be firing, we'll do that. And we'll do like a very yes and it just kind of whatever. And it feels like that's been that with Chris and I, when we wrote this, Sarah and I have written songs, Matt French and I, where it's like, it just feels like somebody's contributing and the next one will just give the next thing. And it seems to be exciting. And later on you might go, yeah, yep. I don't know how to do the other part. I'm sure there's probably some strengths I have that I don't know. I've never really thought about that, Tony. As far as like the instrument, it's guitar. I'm grabbing a guitar. I wish I would do more on piano, but I'm not as disciplined. I have that thing back there so that I would learn to play it.
Did you grow up playing any of those? I know you played bass, early on, but did you start in like a school program or anything? Or
no, when I was young, like my grandma had a piano and my aunt had an organ, and I would tinker around and learn how to play the melodies, but I never got lessons. I wanted to join band in school, but I wanted to play drums because Peter Criss played drums, and my mom said we had to do a year of saxophone, and I went, screw that, and so I never joined. And then I eventually would just save up money, buy a guitar. I bought a bass, eventually, and just started playing and learned by playing for the kids. Go play with other people and be horrible at it, because you're going to have the best time of your life, and you're going to really learn how to play by playing with other people. So
it's a catch-22. It really, you have to just do it in order to get good at it, and there's no way to really do it but do it.
Yeah.
You mentioned drumming was a goal early on, and I couldn't help but notice, that there's a lot of kind of rhythmic space in this music. Obviously, probably by necessity in some ways, but do you think in rhythm at all as you're putting these songs together, or is it just kind of come out naturally?
Yeah, so this one in particular, we didn't put a lot of percussion on it. In fact, anything that is percussive, Ryan added later, because he's like, I think we need a kick drum here. We need something, right?
Yeah.
But generally, I think when I write a song, I think arrangement a lot when I'm writing. I think like, I can hear horns here. I can hear things that I could never actually execute on, but my brain hears all these wild ideas. And that's why it was fun, like producing Doyle's record. We talked about that a few episodes ago. It was really fun to just kind of envision what could happen. And then it doesn't always come out that way. And that's okay, because once musicians start coming in, they start filling that space in a way that my brain wasn't. But it's fun to take a song that seems bare bones, and everybody's like, oh, but I'm like, yeah, but I hear the bass line doing the do 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 do, and then I hear the drummer kick in here and all these wild things, and I don't know. So yes, I do think of all that, like where there's space, I think of where that could be filled. even as
Okay.
I'm writing the song.
It takes a lot of restraint sometimes not to fill in the space, to serve the song. And
Right.
that's one thing that's stood out on these, especially with the lyrics being so prominent. If it doesn't need a kick drum, then, you don't have to put it in.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's a real skill. We got a question here from Brian wondering if, did you play the Wurlitzer in Okoboji?
Oh yeah, we played a few shows down in Okoboji years ago, and I think we all took turns playing that thing. We used to do a Beatles medley, and I'm sure I played it on one. I played the simpler one for sure. Whatever song was in the medley that was simpler, like clunk, and I could easily change from chord to chord. I did do
Nice.
that, yeah, yeah, but
That's
not
awesome.
like Brian. So
And then Doyle just wanted to put this in that Ted has a big old production genius that is fascinating to watch as it unfolds in real time. That's really cool to hear, Doyle, and that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, it takes you're very humble, Ted, but your input is also constructing these songs and shaping them, and whether it's what you put in or what you leave out, which is sometimes the hardest part.
right. Thank you, thank you.
Well, we have a couple more songs to go, and I believe this next one, speaking of percussion, there might be some percussion on this next track here, Pocket T.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell us about this one before we give it a spin?
Yeah, a couple of things. So the percussive stuff that you're hearing, most of it is Jillian Ray. I never heard the term chop. The
Oh, yep, on her fiddle.
she's doing the fiddle stuff. This is 2 songs on the record where she laid down a bunch of parts. The one you're not going to hear, she has this cool, beautiful string arrangement that she called me and had this big vision. She's got a big vision when she's making music too,
Yeah.
and I was so excited. So you'll have to buy the record to hear that one. Sorry, folks, but that's her doing the percussion. And the other thing, this song is about my dad. So the 40-minute walk on a Sunday evening, I Googled how long it took him to get from home to work. He worked at Kemp's North Minneapolis, and it was 40 minutes, and he would walk to work every day. And it was Sunday evening because he worked the night shift, and sit and smoke his cigarettes, walk to work, and it was the most peaceful thing for him. He loved it. So it's for Dad. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's give it a spin. This is Ted Hajnasiewicz with Pocket T here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
A 40-minute walk on a Sunday evening, not the worst thing in the world. Cigarettes in my front pocket, one clenched in my lips as the smoke begins to whirl. See, I do believe it's the little things that keep us spinning. Yeah, I do believe it's the little things. I'm not much of a social mixer, I don't like to go out, but I'm told I'm a likable guy. My wife, my kids, my world, we do what we can to make it work. All you can do is try. And I do believe it's the little things keep us spinning. Yeah, I do believe it's the little things. See, I do believe it's the little things keep us spinning. Yeah, I do believe it's the little things that keep us spinning and spinning and spinning. Some days it's so hard to keep things from spinning. But I'm a firm believer in the little things.
Ted Hajnasiewicz with Pocket Tea here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And what a beautiful tune. What a wonderful tribute. And now that I hadn't tracked what I was hearing for that backbeat, but there it was, the fiddle. I love it. I hear some others with how many layers of Jillian was on that track.
She probably gave me 3 or 4 tracks. And the great thing is Ihrig, her husband Ihrig is an engineer, and he would give us each individual track, but he'd also give us like these mixes, like this might be how it would lay in, just an idea. And at least one of the 2 songs that she did, we literally took what he put in, like the mix he gave us, and put it in as it was, because it was so cool. So the 2 of them were really, really gracious and kind. And I'd never met Jillian in person until last year, honestly.
Oh, really?
So yeah, we just did all this stuff on the line and did a couple phone calls, and there you go. Yeah.
That's cool. Did I hear mandolin in there? I was trying. There was some kind of jangly something happening. It might have been another guitar. What all was playing on that track?
I know there's a dobro, and I think she was plucking her strings. There's no mandolin.
Maybe that's what I was hearing. She was also doing a track with the plucking.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I have a mandolin, but I'm told not to use it. So.
Hey, you should be using it. If you have an instrument, you should be using it. Well, I want to before it gets any later in the hour, I want to take a little break to give a big shout out to the folks that have kept the Back Catalog Listening Party going for 215 episodes. I can't believe it. It's been over 4 years now, and we Ellen and I. Mother Banjo and I wanted to do something to kind of bring people together during, lockdown, when everybody was, was locked away in their own houses and not seeing people. But even when things started opening up, there's a group of people that said, you know what, we still love listening to music together, putting our headphones on and kind of listening to the virtual liner notes and hearing all the details. And you are people after my own heart. We're music nerds. We used to probably do it with the physical liner notes, and now we have it, the oral version of it from our wonderful guests. And we wouldn't be able to do this show without our Patreon community. So I want to give a big shout out to the following: Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, and Hetty. And maybe you as well, if you want to be part of the community. You can still catch some of our inaugural pint glasses. This was like an idea we had to have something physical that could connect all of us in our little cubbies, wherever we are. We still have a few of those left. If you join, we'll send you one. And also there's going to be some changes to the program where we're going to have some exclusive tapings for this show. So our Patreon community will be the first to know who's on and be able to be part of this interview. And so just a big shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for being part of our Patreon community, but also for anybody just out there listening today. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate all that interaction. Music really is about community, and this is just a beautiful community. It's my favorite hour of every week, but it's because of all of you. It's folks like you, Ted, sharing your art, and people chiming in and talking about how much they love it. And speaking of community, Ted, you also have a Patreon, and I would love for folks to know a little bit more about what you offer for your Patreon community.
Sure. So most of it is just videos of me napping. No, it's what I do is once a month I will present a song in some form, whether it be like a raw, like my phone recording something I wrote
Yeah.
specifically for them, or a demo, or the next thing, they get early release of anything I put out. So they get to hear it before anybody else. It's kind of that thing. Tiny little community. It's but of beautiful people. I like it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if you're interested in joining Ted's Patreon, it's patreon.com/TedHtunes. And we'll also put a link to that in our show notes. Once again, if you're just listening to this, we have some cool images to share with you. We have links to his music video and all kinds of other goodies. It'll be available at backcataloglisteningparty.com/215, where you can check all that stuff out. I can't believe how fast this hour's going. We've got some really great feedback here. Oh, thanks, Joni. Joni said, it's the best show. Thank you. And Photodog 1, my first time here. It won't be my last. Excellent. Welcome. And then some other great comments about you, Ted. Brian says, so glad to live in the same space, time as this man. Proud to have heard you work and work with you. Great song, man. Better person. All the love. I love it.
Brian.
I love it. Again, that's what this is all about. And David let us know that he bought the CD at a live show recently. And it's so great to hear the backstories behind the songs. I'm with you, David. I mean, I love listening to music, and never not knowing anything about it. But something changes, I think, when you hear a little bit of the humanity that went into making the music. It's just it's another experience, and one that I treasure. So glad you bought the CD. Be like David, folks. Go buy Ted's CD. I'm gonna scroll that across the screen one more time. You go to tedhtunes.com and you can pick up your very own copy and hear the high resolution files. And anyways, we sure appreciate all of you music lovers and fellow music nerds. This is so much fun. If I could do anything in the whole world, it would be to hang out and nerd out about music. So thank you all for being here. But we have one more song we're going to get to before the end of the hour here. And we're going to cue that up right now. It looks like the name of this track is Dandelion. Anything you want to say about this one?
Yeah, this was, I was doing a thing with my patrons. I would say, give me a word and I'll write you a 3-song EP. And one of my patrons gave me the word dandelion. And so I wrote the song Dandelion. And this was all around the time when in 2020, when with all the stuff that was going on in Minneapolis and with George Floyd's life being taken and all of that stuff. And I just kept thinking about it. And the online, I just kept thinking about how we either treat others like weeds or think of ourselves as weeds instead of that we're a valuable flower. Dandelions are actually a beautiful flower. So I thought dandelion. So the song is for all of us dandelions. And my grandkids love this song. I have grandkids. They love this song. And I think their parents like me a little less because of it. Because they have to hear it all the time, so.
That's awesome. It's crossing the generations.
Yes.
And very cool to hear the backstory on that too. That's really cool, and it resonates with me as a South Minneapolis resident and a dandelion myself. So let's give it a spin. It's a great way to close out our hour. This is Ted Hajnasiewicz with Dandelion here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Dandelion, dandelion, oh, I wanna be a dandelion. Dandelion, 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 oh, I wanna be a dandelion. With a mane full of gold and an iridescent coat, I got something to show.
And there's something in the air when I show up everywhere. I'm the one you wanna know.
But I'm too sentimental, and sometimes I'm kinda mental. I just can't be who I am. And I want the world to see what you see in me. What's so wrong with that? Dandelion, 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 oh, I wanna be a dandelion. Dandelion, 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 oh, I wanna be a dandelion. Whoa, 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 whoa. wanna show my colors off. Man, I'm something to see.
If people think I'm great, oh, wouldn't that be great? I'm more than just a weed. But I'm not well loved. All the neighbors pull the plug when they see me coming.
I so want the world to see what you see in me. I just need some loving.
Need some loving.
Dandelion, dandelion, dandelion. Oh, I wanna be a dandelion. Dandelion, dandelion, dandelion. Oh, I wanna be a dandelion.
Wanna be a dandelion.
Dandelion, dandelion, dandelion. Oh, I wanna be a dandelion. Dandelion, dandelion, dandelion. Oh, I wanna be a 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 dandelion.
All right. Ted Hajnasiewicz, Dandelion, from his 2021 release, Just for Show, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And that was a great way to close out this hour, Ted. What a uplifting tune. And it must have been a ball, putting all those tracks together. It sounded like you were all in one room on this one, but I'm going to assume that it was kind of pieced together.
It was remote. It was always my dream to do the big group thing, and so we got to just do it remote. But yes, it was beautiful. I had half a dozen people just send me files for people who are musicians, people who are not, and it was just really kind of sweet to put it together.
That's awesome. Well, it sounded like they were all in the room together, and it's enough for us to feel that we're there too.
Yeah.
When you hear everybody clap, was that some hand claps back there too? I heard, and everybody singing along. Beautiful stuff, and just a really uplifting tune, and just what I needed after a long week, having a little bit of a cold, feeling sorry for myself. Now I'm feeling better, as I do every week after I listen to music with my friends. And thanks again, Ted, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
And thanks again to everybody who showed up. We got all kinds of great comments from everybody. Thanks, Joni, and thanks, Chris, and Alinda, and Connie, and everybody for being here. That's really what it's about, is just being here together. And we just appreciate you being here. If you liked this episode and you want more of YouTube's algorithm to point to this episode and Ted, just give it a thumbs up on YouTube, and that's going to give them the signal that this is an amazing CD that everybody should hear more about. And you can subscribe also to our channel, Back Catalog Listening Party, on YouTube, if you're interested in future shows. We've got some interesting guests lined up, and some special ones we haven't announced yet, and all that kind of stuff. You'll get notified if you subscribe on YouTube. But most of all, just thanks for being here. Ted, thanks again for sharing your art with us. And everybody have a great weekend. It's one of the longest days of the year here, and I hope it's a good one for everybody. Till next week, cheers, and keep listening to great